Washington, the NC State transfer, who is Cincinnati's leading scorer.
Yeah, and he is the X factor for Cincinnati. He's a guy that creates matchup problems for opposing teams. He's a big that leads and is an anchor of their defense, but he can step out beyond the arc and knock down three-pointers.
And while Cincinnati is fresh off their first conference loss, USF coming off their first conference win of the season against East Carolina. Geno Thorpe was phenomenal.
Yeah, and he is going to have to be phenomenal tonight in order for USF to have any chance whatsoever of pulling off the upset against Cincinnati.
Bearcats wearing the black, USF in the white, and the Bulls will have it first. And in the hands of Geno Thorpe, the Penn State transfer, who didn't play against Cincinnati the first time around. That was a 41-point win for the Bearcats about 3 weeks ago.
Well, the number we're looking for Cincinnati, 40 deflections. They look to try to get 40 deflections every game, and when they get that number, they are perfect, undefeated. So anytime you play against them, you must not do what USF just did, turn the ball over.
Shot was blocked inside, more than just a deflection there. But yeah, Matt Cronin, Cincinnati's head coach, says that measures activity and effort. And they keep that chart up in their locker room during the game. Troy Copain struggled offensively the last few games. Clark missing underneath like he did so often against SMU on Sunday. And it's out. There is Cronin in his 11th year with his alma mater, approaching 300 career wins combined at Cincinnati, and of course previous tenures at Murray State, but 229 wins with the Bearcats.
Yeah, and amazing what he's done. One of 8 programs as we take a look at the 3-ball, and Cincinnati, one of 8 programs in college to go to the NCAA tournament 6 straight seasons, joining some pretty good company: Duke, Gonzaga, Kansas, Michigan State, North Carolina, VCU, and Wisconsin. I would say that is a pretty good group to be a part of.
Kevin Johnson knocked down the 3 for Cincinnati. One of the 2 senior leaders for this team, along with Copain. Foul underneath as Thorpe was attacking the bucket. Murray Bartow on the other sideline for South Florida. Took over for Orlando Antigua January 3rd. 10 straight losses as the head coach before the win against East Carolina. He's a guy that's easy to root for. We talked to them at shoot-around earlier today. Very genuine, so positive, as anyone would have to be taking over under these circumstances.
Yeah, and he's done an excellent job with these young men, getting them to continue to play hard. And again, not an easy situation, but you can see the effort is there, and that's all you want in this type of situation. And a lot of it has to go to Coach Bartow and the job he's done motivating these guys and keeping them motivated.
His approach as soon as he took over the head job, be positive. He said that 4 times to us today. Just stop hammering the negatives with this team. They've been beaten down enough the last few years, and especially this season. Emphasize what they're doing well and build on that.
Right now in that 3-2 matchup zone. It's a new wrinkle, something that Coach Bartow has worked on, and it worked on that defensive possession right there.
Leads to Troy Holston launching a 3. That's short, and Jacob Evans has the rebound for Cincinnati. Evans, such a gifted scorer, can go inside and out. On the wing, swing it. Johnson passing up the 3. USF staying in that zone with Tulio Da Silva, the forward from Brazil, at the top of it. Johnson all the way to the rim for 2 more.
And that's how you want to attack the zone. Don't settle for jumpers. Attack it. Try to get some dribble drives and kickouts. That time the defense was slow to rotate, and Johnson made him pay.
Cincinnati felt like they settled for the 3 a little too often against SMU on Sunday. And yes, the Mustangs pack it in. They're so good defensively, but they felt like they could have penetrated more.
And you can see they worked on that coming into this game.
Foul as USF was trying to get it inside to Ruben Guerrero.
Yeah, right here again, not settling for the 3. Now, if you're USF, you have to have your rotations on point. Again, this is a new wrinkle for them going to that 3-2 matchup zone. Typically, Coach Bartow likes to play man-to-man, but because of personnel and all the changes, they have no choice but to go to the zone.
Guerrero couldn't tip in the Thorpe miss. Gary Clark runs down the rebound, and he's fouled near the sideline. Geno Thorpe with the contact. Yeah, Bartow says, I've never really coached zone before, but he's adapting to what he has, still learning what he has. Took over as an assistant in this program in August after Oliver Antigua resigned amid the NCAA investigation into academic issues. And then Bartow became the head coach last month. Copain to look inside to Washington. Missed it. Got a second chance. No. Johnson on the weak side. Once again, Cincinnati having a tough time around the bucket. Thorpe blocked by Gary Clark. That'll stay with USF, though.
Yeah, and speaking with Coach Mick Cronin prior to this game, he said that was the issue in that SMU game. Points in the paint. They really had a difficult time scoring around the basket, and certainly that's going to something we're going to be keeping our eye on in this game as well.
Steal for Gary Clark. Thorpe hitting the deck, trying to gain it back for USF. Still loose. Washington on his backside, feeding Evans, who's trapped. Now Cincinnati can settle down. Clark and Washington were a combined 6 of 18 from the floor against SMU. Evans off the mark from distance, and the rebound for De Silva. Bo Ziegler kicking out. Thorpe extra pass. Holston tees it up, and that's good. Troy Holston, USF's three-point gunner, tying the score.
Yeah, excellent ball movement that time by USF. Uncharacteristic poor rotation by Cincinnati. And again, that's the one guy that they must find in that matchup zone.
Evans stopped at the baseline. Good defense by Ruben Guerrero, the big man from Spain. Johnson has already made a three, passed it up this time. Now Evans from the corner, late in the shot clock. He buries it.
Right back at it. Cincinnati with some equally nice ball movement, which led to a Jacob Evans three in the corner.
Well, Geno Thorpe and USF trying to build on their first conference win of the season. Set up Troy Holston for a triple. 3-point lead for Cincinnati in the early going.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the all-new KFC Georgia Gold Honey Mustard Barbecue Chicken. It's finger-licking gold. And Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Gorgeous night by the Bay. Number 18 Cincinnati with a 3-point lead here early in this first half. And we welcome you inside the Sun Dome. Ted Emmerich and former Boston College standout Malcolm Huckabee with you. It's like Cincinnati eats glass for their pregame meal. We know that. They always play gritty defense. But this year they've shown they can do damage at the offensive end, and that's what can make them a special team.
Yeah, they really have great balance on the offensive side. You look at these numbers right here, averaging 76 points per game, shooting 46% from the floor, and they do an excellent job not turning the ball over. They average 10 turnovers per game. That's top 15 in all of college basketball. But I believe the X factor is Kyle Washington. Speaking with Mick Cronin, he says that he brings a different dimension to their offense. He's a big that can create a lot of matchup problems because of his ability to step out on the perimeter.
That's why the SMU game and really some of the recent wins before that loss to the Mustangs were so disconcerting for Cincinnati. 3 of the last 4, the Bearcats have shot under 35% as a team. Thorpe launching at the end of the shot clock. So Cincinnati wants to get back on track offensively tonight. Bearcats had a 15-game winning streak before that loss to SMU over the weekend. Copain, drive and kick. Evans wants another 3. That's strong. Clark, an offensive rebound. Ranking 2nd in the American in offensive boards, Gary Clark. Clark turnaround over Guerrero, over the top. Holston runs it down for USF, but he can't finish.
Well, those are the opportunities that USF is going to have to capitalize. Now, right now, early in this game, they're doing an excellent job forcing Cincinnati into jumpers. And that's key in this game. We talked about it at the tip. Cincinnati, a team really struggling shooting the ball from the perimeter, in particular Troy Copain. USF right now, they are forcing them, daring them to shoot the ball from the perimeter.
Johnson does again. Clark, another offensive rebound, and he puts it back on.
Well, that was the area of concern, speaking with Coach Pardo. Rebounding. Cincinnati does an excellent job crashing the offensive glass. And out of the zone, USF is going to have to identify guys crashing the class and put a body on them.
Thorpe looking around, finding Holston. USF coming off their first win since December 22nd against Delaware. Thorpe losing it. Tried to pass out as he stumbled. Johnson the steal for Cincinnati. Pulling up and connecting.
Now, early on, I like Johnson's aggressiveness on the offensive side. And again, that's set up by the Cincinnati defense. Turnover, another area we're going to be watching. Points off of turnovers for Cincinnati.
That was a key part of the Cincinnati win over USF earlier this season. 24 turnovers turning into 34 points. Offensive foul on Troy Copain. Gino Thorpe taking the charge. Well, Thursday, tomorrow on ESPN. How about this doubleheader? Number 11, Wisconsin, the number 1 team in the Big Ten at the moment, taking on Michigan at 7 Eastern. And then to the Pac-12 in Eugene, number 7, Oregon and Utah. Both games also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Such a jumble in the Big Ten right now. Wisconsin at the top of the standings, but a lot of teams at 500 will have a case that they can make to be included in the tournament.
Yeah, and these are important weeks right now leading up to tournament play, conference tournament play, and you are right, a lot of teams vying for that spot in the NCAA tournament, and I think every game is going to count leading up to Selection Sunday.
Yes, Mick Cronin about bracketology these days. Well, what do you expect? His team is a 5 seed right now, according to Joe Lenardi. SMU, the other team in the American, listed as a tournament team, is a 6 seed. Cronin says, I don't like to talk about it much because I don't want my intelligence insulted. It's so subjective. He says it's high comedy talking about seeding in February.
Oh, I would agree with him on that, but certainly his team, in my opinion, is a team that if they're knocking down shots, I have them as a dark horse to go on a potential deep run in the tournament. They're just so good on defense. We're going to get into some of their numbers, but you know, anytime you play defense the way they do, you're going to have a shot to be in games. And we talked about the improved offensive numbers this year for Cincinnati. They're a very dangerous team.
Could be Cronin's best in his 11 years. Speaking of those numbers, for Mick Cronin, of course, it starts on defense, ranking 4th nationally in field goal percentage defense, 5th in the opposition's points per game. And of course, they don't lead in the American in either category. That's how good some of the teams like SMU and UCF are defensively. But Cincinnati, one of the very best in the country.
And the other piece to those numbers is they don't foul a lot. And you look at their numbers right now, they're 11th in all of college basketball with the fewest fouls. They average 15 fouls per game, and as aggressive as they are on the defensive end, that's a pretty impressive number to put up, that they don't foul you. They don't bail you out and put you on the free throw line.
Foul on Michael Bibby, son of Mike Bibby, longtime NBA veteran. Justin Jennifer is trying to make his move. Bibby has really come on as of late. He started 4 of the previous 5 games before coming off the bench tonight. He's figuring it out as a freshman.
Well, I would say that bloodline's pretty good. His dad, who we had on the previous broadcast, I'd say he was a pretty good shooter. And certainly USF, they have some young, talented players. And again, the future very bright for that young man. Anytime you can shoot it the way he shoots it, you're going to have a chance to do something special at this level.
Luis Santos was called for the foul, so Quadri Moore, the junior from Linden, New Jersey, is at the line for Cincinnati. Well, South Florida has some building blocks despite all the losses this season. We mentioned Bibby, Tulio da Silva, redshirt freshman from Brazil, leading rebounder on the team. And Malik Fitz is capable of so much. Had a 28-point, 11-rebound game against Memphis 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and again, you can see there's some talent there, but anytime you have that many young players playing significant minutes and you're going up against a veteran team like Cincinnati and the other teams in the conference, you know, you're going to go through your bumps and bruises as they are this season.
Here is Fitz. Bibby had 17 points against Cincinnati in the first meeting. That's his career high. Now late in the shot clock, Fitz takes the screen, shoots, and hits for three.
And that's an excellent ball screen by USF. Again, when you play against Cincinnati, a team that's really aggressive in the passing lanes, all the passes, and in particular the screens, have to be on point. That time, excellent ball screen.
Moore inside, trying to go reverse, and Luis Santos is able to hem him in. Comes up with the turnover. Thorpe at the other end. Bibby just puts it up. Wild shot. And it's corralled by Trey Scott. Back and forth they go. Here's Fitz again. Bibby trying to lob it to Da Silva. Too much on it. And out of bounds to the Bearcats.
South Florida continues to stick around. Nice ball screen. We got a close game early. Cincinnati up 3.
Cincinnati trying to recover from its first loss since December 10th. They have a 3-point lead over South Florida, almost the midway mark of this first half. Now, Cincinnati is in an unfamiliar position this season, starting 11-0 in the league. Now they're in second place in the American, just a half game behind SMU. They split the season series. Houston trying to make a charge. They've won 5 in a row. Because Houston will play both SMU and Cincinnati coming up down the stretch.
Yeah, Houston vying for that maybe potentially third slot in the NCAA tournament. And they have 2 really good chances, SMU and against Cincinnati. So certainly they control their own destiny. And back to Cincinnati, Mick Cronin talked about it. They just want to get back, bounce back playing well. He gave them the day off today from shoot around, felt the guys needed a little rest and wanted them to come out fresh tonight with a lot of energy in this game.
Yeah, Cronin said he walked into the pregame meal a few hours ago and said, boy, everyone's in a good mood coming off a loss. And somebody said, yeah, it's because they didn't have to get on the floor for shoot around.
And Mick talked about, studying what the NBA guys do. Now you see there's a lot of research where a lot of the NBA teams have gone away from shoot around and give guys rest. And I think it's a heads up play, especially this deep into the season. And the games that they have coming up, give these guys a little bit of a break, and certainly everybody's happy not to get in here and go through a shoot-around, which is like a practice if you've ever seen Cincinnati shoot-arounds.
If they're getting on the floor, they're going hard. They're going all out. Jacob Evans and Justin Jennifer take a seat for Mick Cronin's Bearcats.
USF shows a little three-quarter court soft pressure and then back into that 3-2 matchup zone, which really has been bothersome for Cincinnati in this game, and they've done a nice job forcing them into contested perimeter jumpers.
See Tulio Da Silva, number 21 for USF, at the top of that zone. He loves playing that position. Late in the shot clock, Copain scoops it in, plus the foul.
Well, he is so tough. And we talked about his assist numbers right here. Tough break for USF, and then that time Copain so strong, finishing with the left hand, and again came into this game 5th in Cincinnati history in career assists, 470 coming into this game, and again, one of the best setup guys in college. Mick Cronin talked about what it's been like to coach him. He said it's just been awesome coaching him, and just continue to work every day, every year, gotten better.
Again, Cincinnati would just like a little more from him offensively, and he knows it. 0 for 7 from the field against SMU, 2 points in 33 minutes. Cincinnati can't afford to have him have a night like that in March. Da Silva late in the shot clock. Santos comes up with a man's rebound. Thorpe off the screen. Santos calling for it. Thorpe says no. Now delivers it high in the post.
Look at how active Cincinnati is in the passing lane. And that turnover right there really sums up what Cincinnati does to you on the offensive side. They make it so difficult for you to run your offense. Right here again, great ball screen. They switch, and because Washington is so mobile, rear bigs can go out there and slide with the guards. They're just active in the passing lane, and that time led to a turnover by USF.
Bulls haven't scored in the last 2.5 minutes. Copain around the screen by Clark, wants to feed it to him. Clark passes out. Copain lines up the three, and De Silva brings in the rebound.
That's a good look for Cincinnati, but again, Copain still struggling from beyond the arc. Came into this game below 30% from the three-point line, and you can't ask for a better look off of ball movement if you're Cincinnati.
Holston stepping back, and Holston puts it down. Troy Holston had just 6 points in the first matchup against Cincinnati. Mick Cronin said that's what he was most proud of in the win over South Florida at Fifth Third Arena, how they were able to check a three-point shooter in Holston. Clark once again running into a wall in the 7-footer Guerrero, and it's a turnover. On the run out to Silva, the finger roll.
Well, that's beautiful transition offense that time. And Thorpe gave it up right on time. A lot of times guys hold it a second too long. That time he gave it up just in time.
Washington in traffic, forcing it in off the glass.
Well, that's not bad defense by USF. That's not an easy jump hook, and I'm sure he didn't call glass off that one straight ahead.
Washington on the scoreboard now. De Silva missed everything for South Florida.
Right now, Mick Cronin is screaming for his team to get more ball movement.
And that ball movement leads to a three-pointer by Kevin Johnson. Yeah, you heard Cronin say pass the ball. And pass it to Kevin Johnson, who has the hot hand early.
Yeah, he's in double digits right now in the first half, and really he has been the lone scorer really for Cincinnati in this first half thus far.
7-point lead for the Bearcats. Guerrero trying to go across the floor against this tenacious defense. It's a bad idea.
Another steal deflection for Cincinnati.
Clark near the free throw line, off the heel of the rim and down. He'll take it. And a timeout taken by South Florida.
30 seconds.
Now the Bearcats with a 9-point lead here in this first half, trying to rebound from their first loss in the American. As Cincinnati tries to bounce back, Kevin Johnson is doing his part.
Yeah, he's been hot early on in this game. A guy that came into this game shooting 32% from beyond the arc. And he's hit some big threes to push this lead up for Cincinnati.
Already above his season average, 10 points with 6:35 remaining in this first half. Johnson from Cincinnati went to Summit Country Day, decided to stay in town. He's loved the experience. 4-year player who has improved steadily and is now one of the guys that Mick Cronin counts on to truly lead this team on and off the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. He came into this game leading the team in steals and so active on that defensive side, a guy that really makes it difficult for opposing guards to get anything going towards the basket. And as you said, a key guy for this Cincinnati team.
Cronin said there weren't many lovey-dovey talks between me and Kevin in the offseason. I demanded him to be a better leader going into his senior year, and he's seen the results. Cincinnati has scored the last 7 points of this one. USF got it to within 2.
Well, let's see how USF utilizes ball fakes and then screens against the Cincinnati defense.
Malik Fitz with the offensive foul. Well, NBA All-Star Weekend begins Friday in New Orleans. That means the celebrity game on ESPN. And you have Jamel Hill and Michael Smith from the new Sports Center at 6 as the coaches. Jamel with Team East, Michael with the West, 7 Eastern, also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Who you taking there, Jamel and Michael?
Well, I'm going to go with Michael. He's a Boston guy. So that's an easy pick for me, but certainly that should be fun. That's always a fun event.
Anybody who can pull off the James Harden beard like Jamel Hill does in those promos, give me Jamel. I'll take her team.
Checking in for the Bulls, number 42, Luis Santos.
South Florida just trying to hang around. It's something that Murray Bartow said, gotta find unique ways to score. That's a struggle. He understands it. USF 10th out of 11 teams in the American, averaging just 65 points a game. It's coming up with turnovers like they have early, but then cashing in transition. Washington, the hook doesn't go this time. And Michael Bibby comes away with it for South Florida.
Well, the issue when you play against Cincinnati, any ball screens, their bigs, in particular Washington, they will switch. So you're really not going to come off clean any down screens or ball screens, and they do an excellent job being active in the passing lanes.
5 to shoot. Thorpe looking for an outlet, might have to hoist it himself. And time runs out. Thorpe was not aware.
I mean, that's just really unbelievable. And again, we've talked about their activity in the passing lanes. There's nobody open. I mean, it's like a quarterback trying to find an open receiver, and you just got to hold the ball because there's nobody getting open, and that's just an excellent job denying passing lanes by Cincinnati.
Jaron Cumberland, the floater, and an offensive foul. Nice job by Bo Ziegler to draw the charge.
Well, the reason why USF is still in this game, only down 9, is because of their defense, and they've done, again, a nice job shutting down all driving lanes for Cincinnati, and that time heads up play taking the charge. Problem is finding offense, and you're going to have some individual plays. We talked about Thorpe. He's going to have to make some individual one-on-one plays against Cincinnati.
Thorpe 2 points on 0 of 4 from the field so far. Shot blocked inside. Kyle Washington with the rejection.
Cincinnati 14th in college, close to 6 blocks per game, and a big reason why is because of Kyle Washington. Using his length, he's got quick hops.
Once again, under 10 to shoot for USF. Common theme in this first half. And De Silva draws a charge. You see Mick Cronin at the top of your picture, irate. This team would bail them out.
And that's just something they don't do. We talked about their numbers. They're 11th in college basketball, 15.6 fouls per game, and they just don't foul. That's not really typical of what they do. They play sound defense and then finish off plays without fouling. You can see Mick Cronin. I'm not sure if he's mad at Copain or the referee for the call. I couldn't really tell, but either way, not happy that USF is on the free throw line.
De Silva, 55% foul shooter, and he goes 0 for 2. So this scoring drought is now up to about 3.5 minutes for the Bulls. Justin Jennifer, the backup point guard, sophomore from Baltimore. Johnson in double figures, back across the floor, and a miscommunication with Cumberland, who is cutting to the basket.
Well, teams watch film, and teams are going to be watching what USF did in this first half thus far against Cincinnati, and this 3-2 matchup zone really has confused and bothered them and forced some turnovers.
By the way, Cincinnati's scoring drought is up to near 2.5 minutes themselves. Low scoring affair here in Tampa. Holston's made a couple of shots from the perimeter already, but Cumberland is giving him no room. Santos from 18 away, no, not even close, and De Silva wasn't either.
Let's see if Cincinnati can figure out this 3-2 zone. They got to try to get some activity going in the middle of that zone. And right on cue, that's how you break down a zone. You can't pass the ball around on the perimeter. You have to find that soft spot, which is typically the center, right in that elbow or high post area.
Second time Washington has hit that shot. Cincinnati now has a double-digit lead. USF 2 of their last 9 from the field. Ziegler out to De Silva. That's a long 2 for the redshirt freshman. He's shown that range this season. Can step out.
And USF needs more of that. Good dribble penetration, and then they are able to finish it off of a nice kick.
Justin Jennifer trying to answer with a long 2. Cumberland gives Cincinnati a fresh 30. Washington inside. Picked up his own miss. It's a jump ball, and Cincinnati will have it with the arrow. Bearcats leading by 9 here in Tampa.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And the new Volkswagen Golf All-Track, soon to be everywhere.
Matt Chick, Dino Gaudio coming up at half. Couple of college basketball teams trying to end NCAA tournament droughts. South Carolina and Northwestern both losing right now. We'll take you there, show you some highlights. South Florida, amazing, they're down 9.
I like the soft press back to the 3-2 zone, Matt.
All right, see you in a few minutes at half. Yeah.
Matt and Dino, looking forward to it. How about the lineup of coaches in the American Conference? Of course, Mick Cronin with Cincinnati, really just getting started. Almost 300 wins, 45 years old. But Tubby Smith, Kelvin Sampson, Fran Dunphy, among others, there at the top.
Yeah, and we've talked about this. There are some excellent coaches in the American Conference. You look at what Tulane's done, bring in another guy with NBA experience like Dunleavy. So you throw him into the mix, and I would put that list up against really any conference in the country. Some outstanding coaches in the American.
Out of the timeout, Kevin Johnson leaves the three-pointer short, but another offensive board for Cincinnati. Gary Clark, he's short as well. Bibby churning ahead, and churning too much. Offensive foul.
Number 10, Michael Bibby, that's his second, team 7.
Well, you know this is going to happen when you play Cincinnati. They're going to close down any dribble drives. That's just heads-up play by Cincinnati, and Bibby right now frustrated, and he will learn rookie mistake. And back to the Cincinnati offense. You know, this is really the only concern I would have about them going into the NCAA tournament. Perimeter shooting.
Washington fouled, and he'll have a couple of free throws. Again, Cincinnati has never been that team that lights it up. They're used to winning the bloodbaths, and that's what this game is. Not exactly aesthetically pleasing, but it's beautiful in the eyes of Mick Cronin. He's used to that in the first decade. This year, they have shown that they can be proficient at the offensive end, but lately, they've gone cold.
Yeah, coming into this game, in league play, they're 37% from the three-point line. You know, overall for the season, 35%. You would certainly like to have that number around 40. But, you know, you take a look at Kyle Washington, a guy, you look at his numbers, any given night can put up 20-plus. It's a guy that has several double-doubles. But, again, I go back to that perimeter shooting for Cincinnati as a team. That's the area that needs to improve as they close out this season.
Cronin says, we're going to win when we score 80. You need to win when you score only 60. That's how you win games in March. And Cincinnati is looking to make that deep run in the tournament that they haven't had over the years under Cronin. 6 to shoot. Holston falling away. Troy Holston once again hitting from near the perimeter, trying to keep USF in it. Washington shot putting it to the basket. And here comes USF in transition again. Thorpe feeding Holston. And a foul. It's on Jacob Evans.
Cincinnati foul number 1.
Well, Holston has been the guy for USF that has made some nice individual plays. We saw in that previous possession where he had a nice step-back jumper contested, and you know, that's what you're going to need to do against Cincinnati. Again, they make it so difficult for you to reverse the ball. And Holston, in this game thus far, has hit some nice mid-range jumpers.
Holston from Queens. but played his high school ball right here in Tampa, one of the few local products on the team. It's 1-1 for the sophomore. It's the front end, and we've got a foul underneath. And that'll mean free throws at the other end of the floor with both teams in the bonus. Well, after Knicks and Thunder tonight on ESPN, don't miss Sports Center at night. Max and the coach will take care of you. They'll have the ultimate look at Russell Westbrook's incredible first half of the season, plus a lot more. Sports Center at night after NBA Wednesday on ESPN. Also streaming live on the ESPN app, and watch ESPN. Yeah, coach is pointing at you to watch, Huck.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's amazing what Westbrook has done. The numbers he has put up, I don't care. I mean, that's just rare that you have a guy averaging as many double-doubles as he has against some pretty good talent. We're not talking about going up against some cupcakes, and he's making it look easy.
Cupcakes. I caught you on that.
I had to throw that one in there.
I caught you. I see what you did there.
Ah, you like that. Yeah, you're away. All right, I like that, Emmerich.
I'm ahead of the game. I'm smarter than I look. This first half has devolved into a free throw shooting contest with both teams in the bonus. So Thorpe will be stationed at the line. Cincinnati holding the 10-point lead. Had a 15-game win streak before losing to SMU in Dallas on Sunday. Thorpe hits the front end this time. Cincinnati fell 7 spots in the AP poll after that defeat.
Thorpe, a guy coming into this game averaging 14 points a game, 32 from the three-point line, but where he really excels is from the free throw line, 86% coming into this game. And USF hanging around in this first half.
Murray Bartow calls Thorpe the alpha male of his team. He competes so hard and plays so physical on the perimeter. Final minute of this first half. Jennifer, jump stop, rolls around, Johnson picks it up, couldn't finish. Thorpe sprinting ahead, slows it up.
Nick Cronin in the ref's ear thought there was a lot of contact on that last possession for Cincinnati.
Holston pulling up, no, Ruben Guerrero, the 7-footer, tips it back in. Timeout, Cincinnati.
Nick Cronin still not happy with the no call, but give credit to USF. They've been excellent out of that 3-2 zone, and yeah, that's pretty clean right there. And then they've been able to get out in transition and get some easy opportunities. So, I talked about what USF needed to do in this game, almost play perfect. Well, they've been pretty good on the defensive side, and then right here getting some extra work on the offensive glass. And that's all you want to do if you're USF. Hang around in this game and give yourself a chance to win this one.
So it's a 6-point deficit now. Again, Cincinnati beat South Florida by 41 earlier this year. Thorpe ranks in the top 8 in the American in 5 categories. All-around player at the point guard spot. And as Murray Bartow will tell you, he's not really a point guard, the Penn State transfer.
Yeah, he really isn't. But, speaking with Coach Bartow, he said, look, he needed to play a big game for them tonight to have any chance of pulling off this upset. And he has done some really nice things. In particular, on the defensive side, this USF club has been active, and they've really confused Cincinnati on the offensive end.
And with De Silva's length at the top of that zone, that's a unique look that Justin Jennifer is staring at right now. 2-second difference, shot clock, game clock. De Silva tracking him in the zone. 4 to shoot. Underneath, Nasir Brooks misses the dunk, but a foul is called. Ruben Guerrero with the block, but a lot of contact as well.
Well, again, that's what Cincinnati continues to need to do against this 3-2 zone. Attack the center where there's going to be some openings, and that's the area that's the soft spot, and that's nice play right there off of good ball movement. He just needs to finish that. That should be a and-one situation to finish out this half.
Brooks, the freshman from Philadelphia, his second game back from a knee injury that had kept him out. he missed them both. Clark, right before the buzzer. Exactly what Cincinnati needed going to the locker room. Lethargic start, but Clark finishes it off by beating the clock.
Yeah, and this is just a tough break for USF. They get the 2 missed free throws, and then Cincinnati around the ball. Clark heads up play for the putback.
Clark had 9 rebounds in the first half. Cincinnati an 8-point lead. Now to Matt Schick and Dino Gaudio for the ESPNU halftime reports.
Thank you, guys.
Cincinnati fresh off their first loss of the conference season. An 8-point lead over South Florida here in Tampa. And we're ready for the start of the second half. Ted Emmerich and former Boston College star Malcolm Huckabee with you. Now, we've got us an old-fashioned rock fight. Cincinnati's used to that, but they just haven't been able to separate so far.
Yeah, right now it's been a struggle on the offensive side for Cincinnati. 36% from the floor, 33% from the three-point line. Really give credit to USF. They've done a nice job forcing them into contested jumpers throughout that first half.
Kevin Johnson, the only double-figure scorer in this game. He's got 10 for Cincinnati.
Yeah, and they needed all 10 of his points. Again, he was the lone bright spot for Cincinnati on the offensive side. Aggressive going to the basket, but the key number, he was able to knock down some three-pointers, 2 for 4 in that first half from beyond the arc.
Johnson above his season average in points, field goals made, three-pointers as well. Much more than just a shooter as a senior, but he needs his teammates to help him out. Troy Copain, just 3 points in that first half. Kyle Washington with 6. Cincinnati's got to get it going at the offensive end, and they really haven't, not just against SMU in the loss on Sunday, but over the last couple of weeks.
Well, I think the big issue for them, attacking the 3-2 zone, give USF credit. They've had some three-quarter court pressure back to that 3-2 zone, and it's bothered Cincinnati.
Gino Thorpe has it for USF. Thorpe with 4 points in the first half. Bulls shot just 30% in the first half. And a turnover to start.
Well, again, back to that deflection number. Mick Cronin looks to get 40 per game, and they start the second half off with a deflection, which results in a turnover. And that's just what Cincinnati does. So active defensively. Let's see if they can figure out this 3-2 zone.
Inside, Clark off the feed from Washington, and 1. That is how you attack the zone.
And you can tell Mick Cronin diagrammed that. That's a beautiful set play to start the second half. Again, ball movement, get the ball to that short corner area, and then dive a guy down the post. Again, back to the middle of the zone. That's the soft spot, and they need to continue to attack the zone that way. Do not settle for perimeter jumpers where you struggled to knock them down in that first half.
Cronin says he's on Clark quite a bit to think like he is a star. The reigning American Conference Defensive Player of the Year. DeSilva missed the floater, but a second chance. Thorpe lofting one. And a foul on the floor underneath. That'll be against Jacob Evans. That's number 3 on the sophomore.
Evans struggled in that first half. 3 points, 1 of 3 from the floor, and now he picks up another foul to go to the bench. And again, give USF credit.
Washington hauls in the rebound. Ahead to Clark, but he can't convert. Thorpe the other way with Clark on him, gives it up. Screen by Guerrero, rolling to the basket, instead to Ziegler, blocked, going reverse side. Gary Clark once again making an impact at the defensive end. Copain in the corner, penetrating, kick out to Cumberland. Step back, fake the 3, into Clark, blocked by Ziegler, and a foul with 3 seconds left on the timer.
Ball's foul number 33, Ruben Guerrero. That's his 4th, team 2nd.
That's number 4 on Ruben Guerrero. Murray Bartos center.
Correction,
Well, you can see the adjustment to start the second half by Cincinnati on how they're attacking this zone. Again, showing patience. That time Copain not settling for a jumper, dribble drive, try to break down that defense, and then again they go back to the center of that zone, and that's where they're going to have the higher percentage and more opportunities to score.
Ziegler heads out. It's actually 3 personals on Guerrero. Washington at the line. Transfer from NC State. Fell out of the rotation on an NCAA tournament team a couple of years ago. He's thankful that Mick Cronin has allowed him to spread his wings at Cincinnati. Holston has nailed a couple from the outside. Washington just rejects him there at the 3-point line.
Well, we're going on 2 minutes now, and USF has not scored. The fans still standing, waiting for a bucket to be scored, but Cincinnati stifling defense, shutting them down.
Copain off the mark. Washington cleans it up. They might be standing for a little while.
Well, I was getting ready to say this could be a long stand for the USF fans against this Cincinnati defense.
Have to stand through a timeout. Murray Bartow wants to talk to his team. Cincinnati has stretched out the lead to 14 early in this second half, trying to run away with it in Tampa.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. And Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Early second half, Cincinnati has scored the first 6 points of this period. Now 14-point advantage here in Tampa. I mentioned that South Florida is trying to lay a foundation. They've got 3 first-year players who have set career highs in points. And just in the last few weeks, Michael Bibby had 17 against the Bearcats on the road last month. Gino Thorpe with 25 points against Temple. Of course, Thorpe in his first year on the court after transferring from Penn State. And Malik Fitz, the freshman, went for 29 and 11 rebounds against Memphis 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and they're starting to get some positive momentum, and that's what you want to close out the season if you're USF, a team really that's had a lot of turmoil. We've talked about that, and again, they've had some bright spots, and Coach Pardo talked about that. The guys have continued to play hard when it would have been easy for them to roll over and really pack it in for this season.
Bartow said, I'm not sure why, but the spirit is there every single day, even with the record that they have. Says you wouldn't be able to tell that they're 1-12 in the league right now. Second shot clock violation of the game for USF. Cincinnati just locking down on Murray Bartow's team.
Well, they did it on one previous pass. They went backdoor. Again, you're going to have to use ball fakes, set hard screens, and then use backdoors against Cincinnati again because they're so active in the passing lane. And right now, USF is not doing that against this defense.
Copain looking for a target. Finds Gary Clark. Now 10 to shoot. Johnson down the baseline. Dumps it to Washington, who missed it. Santos the board.
Mick Cronin continues to work the referee.
Yeah, whistles aren't being blown to Mick Cronin's liking at this point. Copain rising up. And more offensive struggles for the 3-year starter at point guard. This time in the lane, and the floater is good for Copain.
Now they're starting to soften up that 3-2 zone that was effective in the first half, and right now Cincinnati getting some easy buckets around the basket.
Thorpe had to give it up. Cincinnati wants it out of his hands. Holston takes Clark off the bounce. Guerrero couldn't tip it home, and it's secured by Copain. Looking to run. Johnson dials up a 3. USF has not scored in this second half. There are a few fans still standing, not as many. And Santos ends the drought. 4.5 minutes in to this second half.
Well, that was definitely a much needed basket. And the fans are happy. They've got a chance to sit down.
They were tired. Give credit to the few who stuck it out.
Yeah, a few of these young kids sitting next to us cheated. They sat down. Said, the heck with this.
Copain on the money this time from long range.
And that's a good sign if you're a Cincinnati fan. And Coach Mick Cronin, Troy Copain knocking down a three. And USF really has dared him to shoot that shot. And that's one that he is going to have to make.
It was his first three-pointer after missing his first 4 of this one. Coming in the last 5 games, Copain just 4 of 24 from the perimeter.
Well, it's been all Bearcat defense, and Troy Copain capping it off with a 3. Cincinnati up big.
Tomorrow night on ESPN, a Big Ten Pac-12 doubleheader. First, number 11 Wisconsin and Michigan in Ann Arbor at 7 Eastern. Then Utah and number 7 Oregon in Eugene. That's at 9 Eastern. Both games also streaming live on the ESPN app and Watch ESPN. Now let's take a look at tonight's Wendy's Wooden Watch, and Wisconsin big man Ethan Happ, averaging 14 points and 9 rebounds. The sophomore was called soft by his teammates. His redshirt year, now in his 3rd year in the program. Impact player in the Big Ten now. Yeah,
there's nothing soft about his game whatsoever. Remember his first year at Wisconsin, he had a chance to sit behind Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker. I think that paid off for him right now and for Wisconsin, and he is one of the toughest players in the Big Ten right now.
It's an adventure every night in the Big Ten. Wisconsin at the top of the standings. Fitz at the end of the shot clock, air ball. Shot clock running out again, but Clark had the rebound.
Right now, the USF in the second half, a 1 for 10 from the floor, and it's really been a struggle to start this second half off.
Copain look inside. Clark, extra pass underneath to Washington, who couldn't convert.
And Mick Cronin talked about this prior to this game. Easy buckets around the basket. He said, look, we struggled against SMU to score or inside the paint. And right there, that's one that Kyle Washington must finish off. He's got to gather himself and then go up strong. Don't flip it up with the little jump hook when you're underneath the basket. Go up and either try to dunk the ball, power move, use the glass.
He said that was the difference in the game. Gary Clark had some looks underneath the bucket, but after a while, SMU just started to play Clark one-on-one in the post, and that meant no open looks for everyone else. Washington draws the foul, but he wants improved play from Clark and Washington offensively going forward.
Yeah, in particular, as we've talked about, points in the paint, and certainly against a team like SMU, that was a problem for Cincinnati. And moving forward, again, they're going to need Washington and Clark to give them some paint production and to go along with some improved three-point shooting.
Trey Scott comes in for Clark. How about this hoop scoop for Kyle Washington? He says he can name every nickname or mascot for every Division I team. We're talking about almost 400 schools. He went on Mick Cronin's radio show a couple of weeks ago, and he was quizzed. And, some of the most obscure mid-major, low-major schools, and Washington had an answer for every one.
That is pretty impressive, in particular if it was closed book. Now, open book, if he's given like 30 seconds to flip through.
I don't think it was open book.
But my goodness, that is impressive. I would have to say, I don't think anybody else in college is going to be able to do that. And they need to sign him up for Jeopardy if he can do that.
Who are the Manhattan Jaspers? Washington had the answer. 7 to shoot. Oh, Bibby passed it up. Thorpe for 3. Grazed the rim. Fitz chasing down the rebound. The shot clock should be reset. And our officiating crew says, yeah, please do that. This game has gotten away from South Florida. The first 7 minutes of the second half, down 8 at the break. Murray Bartow's team has scored only 2 points since halftime.
Right now, points off of turnovers. That's really the issue right now, as right on cue, Cincinnati with another turnover, and they've been converting when USF has turned the ball over.
Jaron Cumberland from the corner. A little too much on it. Fitz on the fast break. Malik Fitz crawled off the rim. But Tulio Da Silva is able to snatch it for USF. Fitz, another crack at it, going reverse side. The bucket and the foul.
Well, the second bucket for USF in the second half. Degree of difficulty off the charts right there. Take the hit and then their little reverse layup. That's great concentration by Fitz. Let's see if he can finish this off.
Beautiful move by the former 3-star recruit from Rancho Cucamonga, California. Played 1 year at Brewster Academy Prep in New Hampshire. It's all about consistency right now, and that's a common refrain for any freshman. The kind of talent that Fitz has. Couldn't finish the three-point play, but Guerrero has the rebound. Ziegler back to the basket. Door is closed. Fitz from the outside. Nasir Brooks at the bottom of the pile. It's a jump ball, which means the possession to South Florida.
Jump ball, Cincinnati basketball.
I beg your pardon, it's Cincinnati ball off the arrow. So Cincinnati will take it up 43-26, approaching this 12-minute mark of the second half. Bearcats coming off their first loss since non-conference play, falling to Butler December 10th, losing to SMU on Sunday. Trey Scott's pass to Nasir Brooks off his fingertips and out. Cincinnati in control here at the Sun Dome. Points at a premium in Tampa tonight. Cincinnati on top of South Florida. Let's go back to last year for the Bearcats. Their 6th consecutive NCAA tournament appearance. Close game against St. Joseph's in the 8-9 matchup. Isaiah Miles hitting a 3, 9 seconds left. 2-point game. Troy Copain finding Octavius Ellis for the dunk to send it to overtime. Oh, but not quite in time. The ball still on Ellis's fingertips at 0. Wave it off. St. Joe's wins. Farad Cobb launches the towel into the stands. Copain had to be picked up off the floor. Cincinnati has made the tournament time and time again under Mick Cronin. But you see, no deep runs. Sweet 16 in 2012, and outside of that, just one tournament win a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and I think this is a big year, big opportunity for them to potentially go even deeper than they've gone, as you've talked about. But again, coming back to the shooting numbers, you look at in this game alone right here in the second half, 20%, 33% from the floor, and for the game, not much better, 35 from the floor and 28 from beyond the arc. So again, if they want to go on to the deep NCAA tournament run, no question whatsoever that they're one of the best defensive teams in college basketball. That's a given, and that's year in and year out. But for me, the big issue is the three-point shooting. Those numbers are going to have to go up in order for them to go on to a deep run.
Here's the resume. Joe Lunardi, Joey Brackett says that Cincinnati is a 5 seed at the moment. Good schedule, although Cincinnati's strength of schedule is in the 60s nationally, and Cronin will dispute that to anybody who will listen. But this is a team that has still won 15 in a row before the loss to SMU. Cronin admits it. Hey, we have to start getting it done in March. You can talk about not getting enough respect all you want from the American Conference, or even considering the long tradition of Cincinnati basketball, but put together a run or two, win a couple of games, all of a sudden you might have some respect from the committee. moving forward.
Well, I would agree with him on strength of schedule. Last I checked, Iowa State beat Kansas. I think they're pretty good. So, and it's the same argument that, you get when you call a Gonzaga game where, they think about strength of schedule in the conference where there's only 2 teams, similarities. You got St. Mary's in that West Coast Conference, and right here in American right now projected 2 teams. So I get it, but Cincinnati's a good team. To me, again, going back to the question mark on them offensively, they're going to have to shoot the ball better from beyond the arc.
Quadri Moore fouled with 5 to shoot. Well, you made a run, part of a special team at Boston College, Malcolm, 1994, as a 9 seed. You made it all the way to the Elite 8, knocked off 1 seed North Carolina in the process. What does it take to put together that kind of special run in March?
Well, I think it comes down to guard play. And again, Troy Copane, we talked about his numbers, one of the best assist guys. But one of the things that we did on that run, we had 3 guards, 3 guys that played for a paycheck, 2 at the NBA level, and we knocked down perimeter jumpers. We knocked off #1 overall seed and defending national champion North Carolina because we were able to knock down perimeter shots. And again, come NCAA tournament time, you're going to have to shoot the ball from beyond the arc. And I think, again, for Cincinnati, that's going to be the question mark for them going into the tournament.
Of course, that starts with Troy Copane. In fact, that's how Cronin puts it. Our season will start and stop with our point guard. As good as Copane is, considering the intangibles, the leadership, the distribution, all the assists that he has put together, he's got to score. And Cincinnati might not need him to be a big scorer tonight, the way they're stymieing the Bulls, but they need Copane to be a factor offensively when the games really count.
Yeah, and in particular what USF has done, and I like what they've done, the strategy, they've really dared him to shoot the ball from the perimeter, and he was able to knock one down in this second half, but it was a struggle in that first half.
Copane has 8 points. He's 1 of 5 from 3-point territory. Michael Bibby will inbound from the corner. Quadri Moore jumping up and down right in front of him, and he lobs it all the way to Geno Thorpe in the backcourt.
And USF still within striking distance, only a 14-point game, and certainly plenty of time for them to get back into this.
Bibby stops the dribble. Trying to throw it to a cutting Ziegler, and the whistle blows again.
Back to my earlier point, they're going to need to continue to utilize the backdoor cuts. Again, act like you're coming up to receive the ball and then go backdoor. Cincinnati, you want to use their aggressiveness against them. Again, they're going to play the passing lanes, try to get some easy buckets going backdoor.
That foul was on Kevin Johnson, his 3rd for Cincinnati. And now Johnson trying to guard the inbounds pass. A little too close for comfort.
And Mick Cronin right now just has his hands on his hips, staring down the referee and basically giving him a look like, are you kidding me?
Quadri Moore exits. And Geno Thorpe has to call timeout from the baseline. USF struggling to get it in.
Bulls timeout. 30 seconds.
Saturday on ESPN, it'll be the SEC and the ACC in prime time. First at 6 Eastern, number 13 Kentucky on the road to face Georgia. Then it's on to Chapel Hill. That's where game day is going to be this week. Number 10 North Carolina, number 14 Virginia. Both games also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. North Carolina playing NC State tonight. Coming off that loss to Duke.
Talk about some tough defense. Virginia, another team like Cincinnati where points come at a premium. They are so difficult to score against. I've fought some games where they've held opponents to 14 points in the first half. They are one of the tops like Cincinnati on the defensive side.
I mentioned Troy Copane and what he has to do for Cincinnati to make a deep run in March. What a resume he has compiled in his 4 years. More than 1,000 points, 470 plus assists, ranking in the top 5 in Cincinnati's storied history. More than the Big O Oscar Robertson put together at Cincinnati, and he's so dependable. He's appeared in every single one of his games with the Bearcats.
Well, an even better number. His mom, Renee, has missed only 10 of his games, and I tell you what, I got to give her a shout out. That is remarkable that she's got a chance to see this young man perform, and what a career he has had at Cincinnati. But I got to give his mom some love. That's just really great dedication on her part to come and watch this young man perform, and certainly he has put up some big numbers for Cincinnati.
Copain from Midlothian, Virginia. And so, yes, his mom, Renee, has made the drive to Cincinnati about 8 hours to Fifth Third Arena time and time again just to see her son.
Well, that's what moms do.
Yep.
You know, I tell you what, and it's just, it's a nice thing to see. And, well, obviously, certainly her dedication to her son and her ability to actually get that time to come and see him play. Unbelievable and remarkable feat for her to make that many games.
Under 10 minutes to go. Jaron Cumberland decides to attack after faking the three, and he lays it in.
Well, we haven't talked much about him, but I have been impressed with Cumberland, not only offensively, but defensively. He is just solid. Can play multiple positions, great size, uses his length, and very difficult to break down off the dribble.
Freshman at a career high 26 against South Florida the first time around. Now comes up with a steal. After his first points tonight, couldn't make the layup here, but Kevin Johnson is right behind him to follow up. Guerrero baseline jumper for the 7-footer from Marbella, Spain.
Well, when USF has not turned the ball over in many stretches, and again, going back to the consistency, they've been able to get some high percentage shots, but the problem you look at in this game, and they're over 16 to 18 points off of turnovers that they've given up to Cincinnati.
So Guerrero won the NCAA Division I Male Sportsmanship Award this year. Murray Bartow calls him as good a guy as I've ever been around. Bartow has been a head coach for nearly 20 years. Such a positive influence is Guerrero. 8 to shoot. Washington over Guerrero, a swish.
And now they're starting to execute to perfection against that zone. Ball movement, and then again attack the center of the zone, and that's a nice little jump hook by Washington. Not bad defense by USF, but just better offense by Kyle Washington.
Guerrero doubled underneath. Johnson strips it. South Florida with 17 turnovers. Evans from 15 away. And Washington's fouled after coming up with the offensive board.
We'll take a look at Kyle Washington again, off of good ball movement, a good post position, and he's got that little flick. It's not really a traditional jump hook. It's a kind of a quick flick over his right shoulder, and that's a nice touch by Kyle Washington.
See a calm look on his face? That wasn't the case earlier this year. Washington, of course, sitting out last season after transferring from NC State. He was so intense. Mick Cronin says he would be hyperventilating in the huddle early in the season during timeouts. He's just so excited to get back on the court. Guerrero fouling out. Trying to come up with the rebound against Washington.
Back to Washington. He is such an important part for Cincinnati. And so we take a look at Mick Cronin still working the referees, but it's been all Cincinnati in this second half. They're up 50-32.
Under 8 minutes to go in Tampa. Cincinnati has put its foot down in this one. 18-point lead over South Florida. Check out the defensive numbers. USF shooting just 27.5% from the field. Of course, the 32 points. Cincinnati really stepping it up on defense, and that's something that Mick Cronin wanted after the loss to SMU on Sunday. said that our offensive struggles affected our energy on defense. Once again, Cincinnati has been begging for a basket at the offensive end, but tonight that hasn't hurt them on the defensive end.
Yeah, they've been able to generate points with their defense, and we went 430 if you're USF without scoring to start the second half, and that really was the difference maker in this game. They blew it wide open with that run.
Geno Thorpe, a three-pointer, his first tonight. Thorpe, the leading scorer for USF, just 2 for 10 from the floor. He's got 9.
Well, it feels like it's a 30-point game, but right now it's only 15 points that USF is down.
Feels like every 3 is worth 10 for the Bulls. Evans halfway down. Santos the rebound for USF. Still time. Thorpe gets the instruction from Murray Bartow as they run the play. And once again, the trouble spot late in the shot clock for USF. Jennifer the strip. Ahead to Jacob Evans, who can fly. He flushes it. 44-inch vertical on display.
And he makes it look easy. My goodness, quick hops. Jacob Evans off the turnover with the flush, and again another point off turnovers for Cincinnati.
Santos on the second chance gets 20 points off 18 turnovers for Cincinnati.
And that's the story of this game right now, because Cincinnati really has not shot the ball well. It's been their defense that has put them ahead in this game.
Just 37% from the floor, 10 percentage points below their season numbers. Underneath, the basket by Johnson, who was hot early. Cincinnati looking to surpass their win total from last year. They won 22 games. Jennifer stepping in front of Holston. Couldn't quite come up with the steal.
Well, Cincinnati defense really has been impressive tonight. And then Jacob Evans off the steal, showing off the vertical, making it look easy.
Mick Cronin has talked with Evans. Hey, yes, you have. Thorpe is trying to throw it down. The foul is called. Gary Clark didn't like that call, but there's the whistle.
Thorpe was trying to go up and get a top 10 nominee right here, but Gary Clark says, no, sir. That's looked like a lot of ball on that block right there.
How about Evans? Cronin has told his sophomore, all right, you've taken a step this season. Second leading scorer on the team, 13.5 points a game. But you can be an elite offensive player. I want you to set this goal for yourself. Shoot 50% from the field, 40% from 3. It's getting closer and closer, coming in 47% overall and 38% from long range.
And I really like his versatility. Defensively, he can guard really 1 through 4, and then this right here is the reason why, right on cue, that Mick Cronin wants him to be more aggressive. He's one of their better three-point shooters, and great length on the defensive side, and then I really like his mid-range game as well, as we take a look at Bibby knocking down the 3.
Bibby better than 40% from three-point land this year. 15-point game, under 5 minutes to go. Jaron Cumberland lets it fly, and he drains the triple.
Well, again, back to a guy that really is not talked about a lot. Cumberland, another excellent three-point shooter, a guy that's capable of knocking down threes. But defensively, I know other guys get a lot of praise, but to me, Cumberland is one of their best on-ball defenders. Great size, does a great job sliding his feet as well, too.
How about the defense from Copain on Thorpe there? Now Cumberland, the hustle play. Evans, Jennifer, back to Evans for the sledgehammer finish.
And right there, I think we got a SportsCenter top 10 nominee. Started with Cumberland getting on the ground, great hustle, and then a little give and go, and Jacob Evans showing off the hops again.
And another turnover by USF. Clark the steal. Bearcats humming now, and it has started with their defense as usual. Inside to Clark, double. Clark working around it, and he's fouled.
Well, it has been Cincinnati on the defensive end in the second half. Give, go, Jacob Evans, show off the hop.
Team 6, we've got a timeout on the
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Coming up next, a big Big 12 matchup. Jeffrey Carroll, one of the leading scorers in the Big 12, getting back to near his home region in Fort Worth. Vladimir Brodzianski and company. TCU, Oklahoma State, coming up when we're done in South Florida, guys.
Matt, well done on the pronunciation. 20-point game here late in Tampa. Jacob Evans showing off his hops here in the second half.
Yeah, and this all started with Cumberland getting on the ground for the loose ball. Nice little give, go, and you talked about that 40-inch vertical. SportsCenter top 10 nominee right here off of the great Bearcat defense. And that's just great teamwork and unselfish play all around by Cincinnati.
Evans now in double figures with 10 points. Speaking of double figures, Gary Clark has a season-high 14 rebounds. Clark at the line. He has also tied his career high with 4 blocks tonight.
And he has been active, in particular on the offensive glass. 5 offensive rebounds and those second chance points for Cincinnati, who really has struggled shooting the ball from the perimeter, as we take a look at another steal.
Jennifer had his shot swatted by Luis Santos. It ended up in the Cincinnati bench. Jennifer's trying to get him off his feet, but Santos wasn't biting.
But I like what Santos did right here. There was no pounding of the chest or stare down. You know, they're down big deficit right there.
Not down 22.
Yeah,
you don't dare do that.
And again, a lot of times you see guys do that in games where they make a big play and they're down 22. Well, that time Santos does a nice job really just playing on. It was a good defensive play, though, to break up a short deuce.
3-second call. And a turnover. Clark was camping out. Another double-double for Gary Clark. Troy Copain likes to call him a walking dub-dub. He's got another one. Clark is a laid-back guy. Cronin has been on him for 3 years now. Hey, you're too nice. Are you going to be a killer? Or are you just going to lay back in the paint? Clark has gotten that message. There's a guy who loves to fish. Clark from Clayton, North Carolina. He and walk-on Zach Tobler love to go out on the lake, northern Kentucky, or in Cincinnati. Just go catch some fish. Really easygoing personality who tries to unleash his inner monster on the court.
And I'm told that's very peaceful. Now, I'm not a fisherman myself, but I know and have some friends that are. And certainly they say it's a very peaceful time. But
how about Clark with 3 guys around him finishing in traffic? One time I went fishing when I was 5 years old. Got the hook stuck in my back. Not a good time. Thorpe, a 3-pointer for USF. So I haven't been fishing since.
Yeah, that'll do it. That seems pretty dramatic at a young age.
Traumatic.
Wow.
Under 2 minutes. Clark setting up Cumberland for 3. Here comes Malik Fitz stepping through, slashing all the way to the rim.
USF continues to play hard. And that time Fitz, nice transition offense, was able to knife down, get one of the few uncontested looks for USF in the second half.
Again, this was an 8-point game at the half. Bo Ziegler can get up as well. He's got a vertical of 41 inches.
We talked about the turnover numbers for Cincinnati, and they're top 15 in fewest turnovers. And you look at this game right now, and Nick Cronin not happy with that number. As we take a look at Cumberland, again showing great upper body strength and body control off of good ball movement. Take the hit, adjust, and then finish. And that's a big-time move by Cumberland.
Cumberland with 7 points. Had a career-high 26 in round 1 against USF. Was named the American Conference Player of the Week. He's shown glimpses here and there that he's going to be next in line as a player that Cincinnati will count on. But a good key piece to that rotation at the moment.
Yeah, I really like his game. Strong, excellent defender, and he's a guy, again, that they're going to need to knock down perimeter jumpers.
Gino Thorpe, another 3 here late, his 3rd of the game. The only player in double figures for USF with 17. And Clark is fouled with 36 seconds.
Well, it looks like Cincinnati is going to hang on in this game, and again, I go back to that score. It's a 16-point game. It feels like it's 30, but it's only 16. And got to give credit to USF for sticking around in this game. And a lot of that on the defensive end, forcing Cincinnati into some tough shots to start this game off.
In and out for Clark. Final 30 seconds here at the Sun Dome. And Thorpe is fouled on the attack.
Cincinnati.
Speaking of Zach Tobler, he is in the game, the walk-on, fishing buddy of Gary Clark. Tobler from Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, wearing number 45. So Thorpe connects on the first. We look at the upcoming schedule for the top 2 teams in the American, Cincinnati and SMU. Mustangs have a couple of big ones on the road. Houston and UConn could be tricky there. Cincinnati has 3 of its final 5 at home, coming up Saturday first against Tulsa.
And I'm looking at that SMU at Houston. I think that's going to be a big one. In particular for Houston, if they want to become that 3rd team potentially to get into the NCAA tournament out of the American, they have some opportunities, and none bigger than having SMU at home.
Cincinnati hopes the loss to SMU on Sunday was just a speed bump. Back to their winning ways tonight in Tampa as they close down on South Florida defensively and win it 68-54. Now 23-3 on the year and 12-1 in the league. So that's all from Tampa. We head to the studio. Matt Schick and Dino Gaudio.